Just stock it somewhere in the car so that you can have a proper ventilation around the whole car thing. But it's a lot.
It is
having
what
to
it
go
is.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, now that's just some of the very little challenges we face if you want to use the public transport system. But then let's even talk about the drivers. Why do you think that some of these drivers? Okay, let's start with the driver-passenger relationship first. Before we get to the driver-vehicle relationship,
Okay.
before we also get to the driver-the business
And the
relationship.
owner. Okay, driver and passenger relationship. We all wake up on different side of the bed. Now, imagine a driver having to wake up properly and the passenger is not.
Okay.
The next question you are, or the next comment you are, okay, if you stop me, why you the driver and all that, and that's stir up issues. And sometimes it's just based on change. Why tell me say you don't get change for hand?
Yeah.
Why the questions start popping up and it becomes a conflict between the two parties on entering and not entering. It's common when it's the usual along cars. For the drop, it's once in 10 clients that would have issues with you because you can actually say, okay, transfer. And for some, they said, I got my transfer, no, they will, because there are times that transfer do reverse.
Yes.
And you'll have shown the driver a lot that, okay, don't go. And by the time the driver leaves you and go a little distance, the money is being reserved. How does it trace you, or how does it? It's not an economy or an environment that you can easily track your clients, or they can get the money from your client.
Could that be
without
the
asking.
reason why they don't like it when you say you want to make transfer?
Everybody just wants to play safe, right?
Yeah.
It's not an environment that there is always a plan B for error. If you miss it, you miss it. If your phone lost, you might not see it.
True.
Even if you try to go back to the park, they say, that guy no did this park. It be like say just come quickly pick you and you go and your items have been misplaced. So it is 1 to 10. We're not saying this happen all the time.
All the time,
But
yeah.
it's better to be safe than to yes sorry.
Okay, on our social media platform, we have the YouTube channel, we have the Facebook page. Just go search for Eagles FM Abuja. And don't forget to drop your experience. That is, if you've got one, if you've got an experience with drivers, or maybe you are a driver and you've got some very funny, awkward experience with some of your passengers. Now, a quick one. I remember talking about their relationship. Okay, before I even get there, why is it that some of these drivers lack manners? Sometimes I've heard drivers be like, okay, you have to come in with your change. Now, it's obvious that there is no one that prays for 200 naira. I don't think I pray to have 200 naira. If there is any denomination I want to pray for, should be the 1,000 naira, right? 1,000 naira, God bless me with 1,000 bucks. Bless me with multiple thousands.
So will you keep dropping your change at every time
No,
you
no,
have
what-
lesser than 1,000
Okay, no.
expense?
What I'm trying to say now is that some of them, they feel that it is obligatory of the passengers to come with the change. Now, obviously, I'm not the one that says most of the times the drivers, they will set the transport at an amount that the change is always very difficult. Imagine you are saying
600 naira
or 700 naira. Especially 700 naira is very difficult to get 300 naira. But if it is something like 500 or 300, just take 200 naira is the most common denomination at the moment. So if you say 300 naira, of course I've got 500, 200 naira will not be scarce. So, but for some of them, instead of coming to say, okay, sorry guys, I don't have change, do you have change? They'll just be shouting. As if
At
they are
times
doing you a favor.
they say communication is appropriate when you pass it at the right time.
So you are advising them to build on their manners or what?
Yes, manners goes a long way. You can actually tell someone you're mad and will not take it personal.
Yeah.
And while you tell the other person you're mad and it becomes a big time issue. This is it. You're entering a commercial car. Kindly notify the person about to enter. Oga, now 500 in my hand or chain there or chain no day. If he has, you say come in, madam. If you know how, you say okay, later we'll find out among the passengers. And you find out that some of the passengers will have the change. And before you are light, they find a way around it. You get the change from A and give to B and everybody is settled. But because of that lack of communication, everybody just go, wow, why not tell us say now 1,000 there? And you will get at that bus stop who is going to be on the losing side? You want the driver to say, "Okay, no worry, go with the change," or you that you know in your mind you will not let your change go. Now you're using that to delay other passengers. How do you resolve? So it would definitely lead to conflict, and the heel manner of any of the both party will show up. Okay, you no get sense. Why you no do this? Why you no do that? Or the other one to say, you supposed to tell me this. So communication is very important while alighting or while boarding a bus or a car.
So while boarding, there should be proper communication.
Yes.
And in the most suitable way.
Definitely.
Not shouting, I don't have change.
Everybody they invest for the country at the moment.
But you calm down.
But you just have to, they say two wrongs makes no right, right?
Yeah.
It takes two to work together. So for you to allow the driver to drive you well, kindly show some little courtesy. Like, good morning, sir. I get change you. I don't get change you. The man self go get joy to carry you. Say, man, this passenger, I never see this kind of passenger
Very
before.
polite.
So gradually we'll start changing the norms or the mindset of individual in the country to learn to do things appropriately.
You know, I quite agree with the part where you say many people are angry in the country. You know, you don't even know what is making some of them angry. I remember some time ago, I boarded the normal along, and that night I actually wanted to order a ride, but then it was very late, so I had to just go to the park along this axis, though. So there was one guy that came in, and the guy gave money to the driver, you know, with I think with left hand or something. Now later they were all judging from different perspectives in the vehicle. The driver fled up and he was like, "Are you mad? How dare you give me money with left hand?" Like, he started speaking his language, and unfortunately it feels like these two languages, I wouldn't want to mention any language, but then the both languages, they are a set of people that maybe they've had issues with themselves before, not necessarily knowing themselves, but it's like one of the parties,
the other one.
had issues with someone from this person's tribe. Now this person speaking his dialect now, as in he was so mad that this guy gave him money with left hand, and the guy was like, so at some point the guy was like, "You are doing business. This is business. This is not where you look
Charity,
for manners, or hey, I'm not giving you this money. You are not my father, okay? And not that I'm just giving you this money. This is business. So why not just accept the money?" Now, to cut the long story short, both of them, they had that anger in them. And funny enough, do you know the other guy didn't talk after he made that statement? People now said, "Oh, guy, just collect the money and let's move," and blah blah blah. So along the line, we got to the middle of the road. That was when this guy remembered. The one that gave the money remembered, and he was like, he had been on call. So when he dropped the call, now he remembered, and he just started asking the driver, "What were you saying that time?"
He might just stay there and say, "Man, hey, I get your time now."
Yes. And do you know they almost caused us accident that night? Now, funny enough, this guy wasn't an illiterate. He was a lawyer, a barrister, like a matured guy.
So what prompted him using the left hand in the first place?
That was what.
So
I never knew.
maybe the call distracted him, and the money was probably on his left hand side. So he felt, and maybe he would have been well corrected if he was spoken to rightly. That's why they use left hand. Give me money. And I feel it would have just corrected it, but because they were penning beefing on ground, it made it look escalated, and it started bringing tribes and other things. But truthfully, when errors happen or when issues happen, it is still expected to correct in a good manner. That is the way we can change the old things or the norms of doing things wrongly in a better way. Because I tell you, nobody in his right sense would intentionally want to hurt you, but something, either they have a derailed mental disorder or upbringing or something, leads to this behavioral change. So for you that feels or knows the right thing, it is expected to try and introduce the right thing so that they can try to follow up or imbibe by doing the right thing.
Okay, now talking about the drivers and their own vehicles now, another time I've had experiences, and it's fun to me though. Now, there was this day, it was raining from Wuse Market here, and I was in a hurry to get to Bega, because I was going to Lugbe that day, and I boarded this vehicle. Before we moved, they started signaling him, your tire is down. And we looked at the tire was indeed down, and we are hoping that he was going to park. Now, it was raining. Now, he didn't park. He was looking for where to pump the tire, and was like, we told him, Oga, park somewhere so that we'll change this tire. You are spoiling this tire. Do you know that this man had no spare tire? A public transport had no spare tire. That was how he drove this car up until Berger. The tire condemned, and the thing started affecting the rim. And when I got down from the vehicle, I chuckled, and I was like, Oga, are you taking this your business serious at all? He looked at me and he was like, Oga, don't mind that tire. He started blaming the tire.
It means that he might have actually seen the signal of the tire, but probably finances had actually put him at that detriment stage, and he had this mindset of managing it to a particular point in time before he could change it. Now, let's look at number one. If he had stopped on the rain, none of the passenger would join hands with him to change the tire. That's if he has a spare.
He was.
But now, two offense, he does not want to stop because nobody's gonna assist. Number two, maybe there's no jack and spanner and spare tire in the car. Number three, he was trying to take a risk of, I go see where to pump this tire.
Yeah.
Last, they'll just pump it. It's not that he's fixing it. He will just ask them to pump it. Probably when he dropped all the passenger, he might not think of the car.
Go and patch.
And if the tire do not go less, he might not think of the passion again. So, individually, all drivers have.
You are going to talk about the whole car maintenance now.
Okay. So the car maintenance of a thing of individual, it has to do with personality.
Okay.
It just be like someone wake dirty. Even if you put the person in a cool AC fitted area, there'll still be this nature of dirtiness within the person.
True.
You can't force the person to take a bath when needed. You can't force the person to take a proper body sprays and all of that. So all of this is, some lack the training of car maintenance. Some is just negligent. They are not just serious with it. And some, they are careless. Let me use an example. For example, okay, you gave someone your car to manage.
Yeah.
And maybe the person has been doing due diligence in whichever area of managing the car, and you're telling me that the person is careful enough not to see or manage an accident. We know accidents are not planned.
Yeah.
But there are some accident scenario you will see and question the driver if the driver is actually in his nonsense. So sometimes these drivers are distracted by something they are doing at a particular time and season, and sometimes these drivers are just nonchalant because this is not their resources. Because if it's their resources, it will be taken as very important as their life, because this is their livelihood and their source of taking care of some families too. So personal care of a car needs to be in check. Individuals needs to be in check. That's probably, we can't start saying we should study upbringing before we hand over a business card to you. But it is expected to run a mental check, or should you call it personal check, on the person, so as to be sure if this person is capable to manage your car.
Okay, now generally, what do you have to tell the drivers so that they can also up their game? Because unfortunately, directly or indirectly, this thing is affecting their business. Because, for example, that man that got his tire spoiled, the money that, if he had a spare, the money he would have used to fix that
will be lesser from buying a new tire.
You understand? Some of them, they don't even change oil until the car begins to smoke.
But why not we look at the fact that as the economy is growing, or the country is growing, why not we look at a private sector or a body in the country that takes in all these wear out materials or overused materials and provide a supplement. Supplement that you can pay at a very installment plan without
perhaps subsidized.
Yes, that's what China is doing, and China is penetrating into us like mad.
You think Nigeria would want to do that?
If the enabling environment is there, I tell you, Do you want to check the data analysis of how much purchase we're doing on China materials, both gadgets, both materials, both wares and everything? Just check the statistic, what we're doing with their products. It's because it's fair, like in price.
Of course.
And you will still find out that it still has its own quality and durable too. So why not we look at that aspect, whereby everything that has to do with car, if you've used your tire for 6 months, bring it to so complain and take a new one at a discounted rate.
Yeah.
If your car is worn out, haven't driven for 4 years or so years, bring it for an upgrade. Pay half value of this. You'll find out that we'll clear up all bad cars from the road in a short time. And we will not have this issue of, accident happening because of bad cars, brakes, and all of those excuses that keeps coming.
Well,
It's a gradual process, but we can get it right.
That would have been super cool. That would have been so beautiful. That would have been so wonderful if the private sector, that is, if it's the government,
private, public partnership. We put it together. Government gives probably maybe the landscape for an indigenous company or international bodies coming in. We have some engineering section.
Funny enough, we have the population.
We have the market.
There is no business that cannot thrive in Nigeria because we have the market. That is the fact. Now, but then back to the issue on, that has to do with the drivers now. These drivers that don't take their businesses serious, what's your advice to them?
Well, the first thing is that for you to have a business, it means you have a pool of funds somewhere.
And sorry to cut in. Funny enough, some of them, it's like they don't know that is their own area of specialization. They look down on themselves. The low self-esteem is just too much.
The way the economy looked at them.
Let me share
a little experience. Before now, right? I haven't even been a graduate. I sold bread.
Okay. On your head or a shop?
In a car.
Okay, in a car. Okay.
We have to pick the bread from the warehouse and take it up to a particular junction called Yanya Roundabout.
Okay.
Where different retail sellers come to buy at a wholesale price. Right? That's haven't been a graduate. Now, another experience still goes that I haven't been a graduate. I did a driver for a school.
Okay.
And this is someone that drives a good automatic. And now, getting to the school, I'm handed over a bus of manual. Right? Because of my own self-decision or my own ways of managing, I drove the manual with all joy and sense of belonging, like this is my
your car. Yeah.
Not everybody would have that mindset. Manual on its own is a problem. Come to now talk of it's a bus, you're now having to be picking kids and all of that. These are individual reasoning. Now, for an individual that had gone through some hardship life, if care is not taken, the way they will handle your business, it will be like say life hard still on the job. So it means that there has to be a kind of an orientation before a car is being driven or a car is being handed over to.
Okay.
We are missing out the educational part of our economy or our society.
All the sectors need to be educated.
Just want to jump into it. I know I didn't go through driving school, but I tell you, sometimes I drive better than someone that went to driving school. But I still enjoy the fact that I read the driving school manual.
Okay.
But some, because they just did not go throughout the school and they know how to drive, they feel that's the best and that's the end of it. And you see them breaking different rules. And if you now try to compare the two parties, you might justify the fact that just because you did not go to school, all of you that did not go to the school, driving school, are just so what? Non-knowledgeable about driving. Which is not. But when we make it very important that for all the sectors or all the automobile system areas, let us introduce what we called educational, or let us call it introductory to this process.
This process,
So
okay.
that they can
Or
learn.
like orientation.
Yes, orientation. So that they can learn this section or learn about this, both young, both old. So that we cannot keep going out there and keep making the public looks like we are all the same.
You just brought something up, and that is true, because that is the part that we are forgetting. It's unfortunate that Nigerian government, I wouldn't want to say just the government, but some persons in government, they love to collect revenue, but they don't give anything in return. For example, these taxi guys, they pay. I've seen on so many occasions we have unions, and in some places they park and they collect. I've seen people collect and cut tickets and all that. Now, all these monies they collect, can't they just go look for a resource person, gather these persons once in a while, and give them orientation, teach them how to relate with people, teach them how to manage their cars, and most importantly, how to even manage their resources? Because there are some of these drivers that ought to have more than 5 cars. Yes, God can bless anyone anyhow, but then there are some of these guys that they have the money, but the way they are spending the money is terribly wrong. If only they had someone to guide and give them the necessary orientation, maybe they would have been, doing so well today.
Well, that's true. They have what they call their union. They have their contribution side too, and all of that. But it is still boils down to that orientation. Just as we said, if you have a proper orientation about your business line and you have guidance, we will start having a change in all our sectors. Not just the automobile, just all our sectors, because the orientation part of it is what we lack, and that is why so many wrongs keeps happening, and we all take it like that because nobody did it to help us when we even they try to put our heads up. So they came to reality by doing this thing. So now that you now feel you've studied too much, you're now trying to bring the book in while they were the one doing the hard work. Then you see where the conflict is coming in. Even on the parking side of this old automobile / car thing on the road, you can tell the difference from
most
people.
of them don't even understand
Do you
science.
understand? So you can tell the difference. So going back to the drawing board will take a lot, but it's better to go through the lot and get it right than keep messing it up the more.
Wow. Well, I love that. It's better to go through a lot and get it right than to keep messing up now and over again. It's very unfortunate that time is not our friend on this show, but then before I draw the curtain, I would want to call on all the associations, the unions of these drivers, whether the e-hailing service drivers or the normal taxi drivers. Please, you guys should wake up to responsibility, all right? Wake up to your responsibility. After all, you get revenues from these guys. Please gather these guys once in a while. Give them reorientations. Just keep giving them orientation back to back, and I am sure that their behavior will get better, not just towards the general public, but also to themselves. They will learn how to manage their resources, and that is how the country will become a better place. I hope you guys learn one or two from us today. Thank you very much, Odidi, for coming on the show.
Thank you, listeners.
All right, until next week again, do have yourself a swell time, and hey, keep listening to Eagles 102.3 FM.
Do you want to know about cars,